All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning after this extended weekend. So we really appreciate you kicking off your week with us. We are so glad to have Ms. Adrienne McFarland back with us at the Tennessee Small Business Development Center with, as usual, a great presentation. You will really be glad that you came for this Turn Browsers into Buyers Optimizing Conversions webinar. And without further ado, Adrienne, you can take it.
Good morning, everyone. I have to clear my voice a little bit. Tammy wanted me to sing for you guys this morning, but it's not going to happen. I'm so excited to be here. Let me share my screen so that you guys can see our wonderful presentation. Today, well, just in case this is your first time joining me, I am Adrienne McFarland. I'm a Shopify Empower coach. So I coach people like yourself on how to use Shopify, how to maximize the resources that Shopify offers, and to really grow and scale your store. So welcome to Turning Browsers into Buyers, Optimizing Conversions with Shopify. We're going to talk about the best practices that you should use when trying to convert, meaning trying to make money. So if you're new to Shopify, I have to explain a little bit about what Shopify is. Shopify is a cloud-based multi-channel commerce platform. It's designed to help you run your business, and a Shopify allows you to have a strong back end in order to build your business, meaning you can manage every single component of your e-commerce store with the Shopify platform. Like I mentioned previously, you have the ability to sell online, on social media, in various marketplaces like Walmart, even on your retail store. If you have a brick and mortar, you can use the POS system. You can market on the back end, meaning your email campaigns, your social media campaigns are connected to your Shopify store. Even the Shop app allows you to list your store so that people across the really internationally can see your products. And then you can manage your store. Long gone are the days where you have to do this separately. You can manage your orders, your inventory. Even your staff can have access to your store, manage all of the customers, all of the information you're sending to customers, texting them when they're needing to have some shipping information or if they're asking questions. You can manage your shipments and your payments through your Shopify backend store. Shopify also has a wonderful analytics reporting system. This is actually one of the strongest analytics reporting systems that e-commerce platforms host today that I have witnessed. You can pull reports and see exactly how your store is performing from the Shopify platform, which is a huge component when you're trying to convert. And then also you can grow your store with Shopify. If you are, seeing some great traffic in your store and you're selling some items, they offer Shopify Capital. You also have 24/7 support with your Shopify store. If anything is going wrong, you can contact Shopify 24/7 via chat, email, in order to get your problem solved. So Shopify, you're able to use this platform for everything, guys. And that's why I really love coaching people on it. So this is just an outlook on what it looks like to run your Shopify store from the back end, the apps that are able to be integrated into your store, again, the analytics reporting, and then also managing your orders, which I really think is a great component to your e-commerce store. So today we are talking about conversions. So we're going to discuss all of the elements you should consider when optimizing your store. Developing your brand identity is one of those key components when you're thinking about converting. Building your store for conversions. We're going to talk about what needs to be in place there. And then also fundamental design principles of e-commerce. And that's just your entire design of your store and what it needs to look like in order to convert. So what does optimization mean? I know a lot of e-commerce, especially newbies to the industry, are what you see this all the time. What are they saying when they mean optimizing my store for conversions? So optimizing your store is the process of identifying and implementing new methods that make the business more efficient and cost effective. And the only way to identify and implement these methods are to do them and to test them. And so it's no one way, and you're going to hear me say this throughout this webinar, there's no one way to optimize your store for conversions. Rather, you have to put in place certain tools and resources and methods, test them, and then redo them so they convert best for your business. Some of those things with optimizing your store for conversions that you need to remember is the navigation, the user experience. We're going to talk about that. Your keyword optimization. I know you guys hear this all the time. SEO, search engine optimization, meaning optimizing your store the best for search engines like Google and Bing and YouTube. Of having effective product pages can also be a huge factor in your store converting. If your store does not have great product pages, including all of the details about your specific products, and the customer gets lost in what you're selling, you don't have effective product pages, you're not going to convert. So we're going to talk about that. And then also a seamless checkout process. Your checkout process should be so easy. I mean, in layman's terms, you should say, my checkout process should be so easy that the customer just wants to give me their money. That's exactly how you should think about this. The checkout process should be very easy. You don't want to get anyone lost when it comes to your checkout process. And then what's a conversion? Well, a conversion is the process of increasing the percentage of users or website visitors to take a desired action, such as buying a product or leaving contact details. Even anytime you're putting in place a marketing initiative or social media ad or anything that you want to drive traffic to your store or users, you're going to think about how they convert. So either that action is going to lead to them buying a product or leaving their contact details, which could also bring them back to buying your products. But either way, you're going to need a call to action there that allows them to convert into something. And we're going to talk more about that as well. So first component into thinking, when you're thinking about optimizing your store for conversions, is building your brand identity. Let's think about this a little bit. Everything, especially these essentials, needs to be in place for your store to convert. Your brand identity is the personality of your business, and the promise you make to your customers is what you want your customers to walk away with after they interact with your brand. Your brand identity is typically comprised of your values, how you communicate your product or your service, and what you want people to feel when they interact with it. A lot of people don't understand today with the crowded internet, with the web, with e-commerce becoming more and more popular, people are looking to branding for in order to pick a store or product that they really love. So you want to make sure that you think about your brand identity before launching your store. If you want your store to convert and you don't have a great brand, it's not going to happen. People are looking for things that relates to them. So let's talk a little bit more about this. So branding 101, to best wrap your head around the branding process, think of your brand as a person. Your brand should have an identity, that meaning who it is, a personality, how it behaves, and an experience, how it's remembered. Ask yourself these questions about your brand when you're developing your branding in your store. How would your brand introduce itself? If it had to describe its appearance, how would it do so? How would your brand talk about your products or your services? Would it be serious? Would it be more professional? Or would it be humorous and edgy? And if you can't, you should answer these questions, because it's going to play a part in every component of your store, from how it looks, from the products you sell. People should be able to look at your store and say, that's a warm, happy store. They must sell something that's warm and happy. So thinking about if your store is professional, or if it's humorous or edgy, or all of the different components of your store, when you're thinking about your branding and what it does, and if it's like a real person, ask yourself these questions. What would someone say about your brand after meeting it for the first time? And that's a big one, because you want people to share your brand and talk about it and say, oh, wow, I went to this cool website today. They sell headscarves. They have all different types. And it seems like a really fun store. The person that owns it, they talked about their personality, who they are. Thinking about all of these questions play a big part in your conversions. Think about what are a few sentences people will use to describe your business. The purpose, and that's just like a pitch. If you're pitching your business to someone, what are those few sentences you would use to describe your business? You're going to need to have this in place. The purpose of branding is to create relationships with your customers. The easiest way to do this is to treat your brand like a person and understand that you want your customers to do the same. Oh, I love him. I love her. I love this website. Research says that almost 60% of shoppers say they actively buy from brands they know. And 21% said they bought a product because they liked the brand. Branding gives your business an identity beyond its product and its service. It gives consumers something to relate to and connect with. Branding makes your business more memorable, and it's the face of the company, and helps consumers distinguish your business across every medium. Branding supports your marketing and your advertising efforts. It helps your promotion. It helps add that extra punch when you want to bring added recognition and impact. Just thinking about your branding, it makes your business memorable. People won't forget. You'll become top of mind for people when they're looking for a specific product that you sell. Branding brings you your employees pride. If you have a great brand, I'm going to think about one that first comes to mind, like Chick-fil-A. They have this huge reputation of being kind and warm, and they stay on brand, almost to the fact that when you apply there and you're an employee, it's like you come in, you know exactly what to bring, how to act, what the business wants from you, right? That's because they have their branding across every medium. When you brand your company, you're not only giving your business identity, you're also creating a reputable, high regarded workplace, and a strong branding brings in strong employees. So think about Chick-fil-A when you think about it. It's one of my favorite restaurants. I love it. So what components inside of your branding do you need to think about? Well, your brand is arguably one of your organization's most important assets. It gives your organizations an identity, like I mentioned, and it makes business memorable, and encourages consumers to buy from you. It supports your marketing, your advertising, right? So what about your business name? People use the success of brands like Uber, Google, and Apple and believe that a creative name will lead to great success. In other words, the brand name is only great because the product is great first. So thinking about your brand name, it brings a trust, and it's easy to say and it's understandable. But if it's not, you could mess up your entire conversion plan, your entire strategy. You don't want to have people have a brand name that's hard to say, that's hard to spell, that does not relate to your business at all. And that's because people don't trust brands like that, right? So think about branding trust. It refers to strongly customers and consumers that believe in your brand. Do you deliver on your marketing promises? Does your website look trustworthy? Do your salespeople and your customer service go above and beyond? All of this plays a huge part in your branding, but your brand name could have a huge effect on everything. So thinking about your brand name, is going to be essential. Shopify offers a business generator that can help you with building your brand name. So I can send that to Tammy. I'll send it to you after the webinar so that people can have it. Let's go to the next slide. So let's take a look at the should and should nots of developing a brand name that converts. A great brand name should be easy to remember. Like I mentioned, a tough to do remember name does a lot more damage than anything. If people can't remember your name because it's hard to spell, it's hard to read and understand, it could do some major damage. You will not become top of mind, and it could lead to less conversions. It makes it much harder for people to get to your website and become customers if they cannot easily remember your name. So instead of choosing a brand name inspired by etymology or Greek words combined with the name of the street you grew up on, combined with your daughter's or your son's name, is going to be a bad idea, right? So thinking about your product and what you're selling is going to be what you should think about when coming up with your brand name. Be distinct and generic. Brand names can work for a hometown, local business, but they're difficult to make into global brands. I am a witness of this. I started a brand that was, I did this before. I started a brand that I wanted to market locally. However, it didn't speak to my local audience. Like I saw a show like Memphis Barbecue or something that speaks to a local audience. But I guess that's a twofold thing because Memphis Barbecue is a worldwide thing, right? So if she's selling products online, that may help her with conversions. But it only works when you're thinking about something local and speaking to a local place. If you're thinking about a more global brand, make sure you're thinking about something that speaks to everyone, especially when running an e-commerce store, because you can see conversions nationally as well as internationally. Peak interest. A good name should make people intriguing, have some type of interest and intrigue about what the brand is. Making sure that it's like, oh, if it sounds interesting. For example, the mattress store Purple. I was intrigued by this store when I first saw it. I'm like, Purple, why are they calling their store Purple, their mattress company? Well, it's intriguing. It asked me a question. I asked myself, like, let me go figure this out. That's something that you may want to think about. It piques interest. It allows people to go and learn more and discover more about what your brand is. And that's a characteristic most great brands have. Your brand should make sense when you choose a name for your brand. It should relate back to what your core business does. Be thinking about that. However, your brand name should not tell the whole story about your business, like be an entire sentence. It shouldn't be too literal, like glasses. It shouldn't be too literal. Don't let it box you in. You are likely to scale and grow, but if you use a brand name that only speaks to one thing and doesn't give you room in order to grow into more, you're gonna make yourself stagnant. So thinking about a brand name that doesn't box you in, think about, do not let it steal the show. Meaning, don't let your brand name speak more about your business and then come with a website or products that don't live up to that brand name. And don't allow it to slow things down. Meaning, don't allow you to think so much about your brand name that you don't go anywhere else with it. So a logo. Your logo is essential to converting as well. A logo is more than just a fancy icon to put on merchandise. It is an expression of the company's brand's promise and must be recognizable enough to set it apart from other businesses. In many cases, the logo is the very first thing new and potential clients notice about the business. As with any first impression, thinking about your business as a person, the message it tries to communicate must be clear and understandable. However, do the work first, meaning knowing what your colors are, knowing what your brand message is, what your USP, your unique sales proposition is. Many times people think the logo equals brand. That's a big mistake. Your brand and your logo encompass so much more. Do the hard work to understand who you are, what you stand for, and what feeling you want your company to evoke. Getting the logo right requires deep thought on the overall brand. If you can answer your why, that's a good start. Then focus on translating that into a visual representation. Create an idea that appeals to your target audience and delivers a message for them specifically. It should be something that reflects your solution for them. What are you trying to solve for that customer? Which is your business offering. So they understand what you do and why it makes sense for them in the future. And thinking about your logo, future proof your name and your logo. You know, we talked about future proofing in a couple of webinars back, where you're thinking about what could happen in the industry that you're in and you're preparing for it. No one could prepare for the pandemic, right? So that's why we did that webinar. Thinking about how your business can be future proof is essential if you're thinking about scaling and growing your business conversions. Keep your company name broad because the market and the business will evolve. So keep search engine optimization in mind. That's going to be a big deal. If you have something like, for instance, Memphis barbecue, that Memphis in there is a search engine optimization keyword. Even Memphis barbecue is a great SEO keyword, by the way. A great company name and competition. When you find the right one, it's tempting to start rolling it out. But before you do so, consider the search engine optimization implications. It's your name. Is your name a common phrase? Are there other companies called the same thing? With an original name, it'll be easier to rank in the algorithm and one less competitive pain point for your brand. Think of this, let me repeat that. With an original name, it'll be easier to rank on the algorithm of any search engine out there, and one less competitive pain point for your brand. So you're going to want to think about not only the search engine optimization, the keywords as it relates to your brand, but thinking about what your competitors' names are, what they're using, and how the algorithm and search engines are going to read your website, read your brand. Okay, so thinking about that, that's going to lead to conversions. If it's not correct, if it doesn't speak to the audience you're trying to reach, like if you're going Memphis barbecue, but you're selling Memphis t-shirts and it's totally off, it's not going to convert for the right audience. So just thinking about your brand name and your logo. Shopify does offer a logo maker. It's called Hatchful, and I'll give you that website link at the end of the webinar. So let's talk about visual style. Of course, if you're thinking about your website as a person, you're going to want to think about the visual style of that person, right? How does that person look? How does your website look? A visual appealing store is one of the first things that potential customers see when they visit your store. You want it to look great because if you want to have conversions and for your products and for your webinar, for your store, you're going to want to make it sure it looks good. It's the first thing they see. Remember, think of your online store the same way you see an in-person brick and mortar location. You want your site to be inviting, yet clean, and all of the products to be visible and clear for customer understanding. You can do this by creating some awesome photography, create your visual assets. And at this point, you should understand your target audience, your mission statement, and the unique qualities that make up your business. If you can say with confidence that you've mastered these steps, it's time to move into one of the more exciting parts of branding, and that's the visual style. The logo, the color palette, the typography, the iconography, and other visual components are going to be key to your visual style. People are going to remember your colors. It's certain colors people already associate with brands. If you can think of them now, I think of, when I think of Target, I think of red, and it's always like that. So thinking about the colors that go with your brand. As you create these elements, build a set of brand guidelines. HubSpot offers a great brand style guide, and I can actually add that too, but A brand style guide will help you govern your branding. I had someone use branding from a store I was working with, and they decided to just take a logo off the website and put it on a graphic design that had the totally different colors that were not related to the brand, right? So creating that brand style guide, if you see something like that, if you do any partnerships with anyone, you can send that brand style guide to them so that whenever you're marketing your business, no matter what, across either you're putting out marketing or if you're partnering with someone, you're going to want to stay on brand because people are going to remember your brand for related to your products at any stage. And if that's an opportunity for you, especially a marketing opportunity, you don't want your brand style to be totally off key. And then it's not going to lead to a conversion. You spent money probably in that aspect. You spent time, which is money in that aspect. So you want everything to be in order, including your branding. So let's talk about building your store for optimization for conversions. It's going to take some time to perfect this. It's your homepage, designing your product pages, designing your checkout. It's going to take time, like I mentioned, testing in order to do this, seeing what works perfectly. But let's talk about how you can start, and that way you'll be at least a little bit ahead of the game. So do the prep work. Like I mentioned in the slide before this about the typography, your who you are, what you stand for, what your brand colors are. All of that prep work is going to go into your business before you get to choosing a theme that's perfect for the navigation of your website. But when you're thinking about this, there's also other questions you should ask yourself, like how many products will your store have? What functionality do you need your store to have in order for customers to have a great visit with an easy navigation? You don't want customers to come onto your store and get lost. You won't convert that way. So when you're picking your theme, you need to think about the products that you'll have in store, what that functionality looks like, and how it's going to have a great way for your customers to navigate. So choosing a theme, let's think about, as I mentioned in my last webinar, narrowing down your search for your themes. In the Shopify theme store, by applying filters such as your industry, your price, the features of what you want your store to have. If you're having a small catalog or a multi-level drop-down menu, thinking about all of these components of what you need for your store to function correctly is prep work. So before you pick a theme, ask yourself these questions. Consult the reviews. We mentioned this a couple of slides ago. What are other people saying about this particular theme that you're looking into? Do they have great customer support? What challenges are they having when they're using this theme? How are the stores using the theme for their user experience, and what's the conversion rate? Some people may mention that in the reviews. So if they're converting because it's easy to navigate, I can get to the products, great. You're going to think about what that store conversion rate may be and see what the reviews are saying. So you also want to demo the theme. You want your theme to have most of the main features you're looking for so you can cut down on development costs in the future. If you see a theme with one feature you really like, but doesn't have 5 other features you want, don't go with it. Instead, go with a theme that has more of the features you wanted, and then have a developer add the feature it is missing. When looking for the features of a theme, the main ones are listed right under the theme preview page. So when you go into your Shopify theme store, you're looking for themes, you've already done all the prep work, something may be missing that you want. Let's say it doesn't have a automated recommendation slide or something like slides in your header, whatever that may be. It can be added later by a developer. They can add some code in there, or maybe it's an app you can enter that can help you bring that certain aspect to your store. But if you do the pre-work and you come into your Shopify theme and you find something that has most of the features that you want, you go with that and you're going to add it from there. Then you're going to want to demo your theme. Your store, it's going to be really tough for you to understand why your store is not converting in the beginning. And that conversion could be you're testing for more visitors to the store, right? That's what you're trying to see. That's what you're putting into place to have more visitors visit your store. If you have not demoed the theme to see what's working best, what kinks need to be worked out, maybe a store link is not correct. And so when someone clicks on a specific product, it's not going where you need them to go. You're going to want to demo that theme and check it out and see what it offers. I highly suggest choosing a theme within the Shopify theme store as well. Some people like to go off of the Shopify theme store and to different websites, which is totally fine if you want to do that and you're experienced. However, Shopify carefully evaluates all the themes submitted to the store for quality and functionality before they are listed. So you don't have to worry about those little kinks that need to be worked out. There may be an error here and there, but because they have the developer information in the theme store, if you do have an error that can possibly affect your conversion rate, it's easy to connect with the developer in order to get it fixed. So I highly suggest before you go off of the Shopify theme store to purchase a theme, you actually look at the theme store. Make sure all the themes listed in the theme store comply with the updated policies of Shopify. So if you purchase a theme from the store, you know it complies with all the rules and regulations. If you purchase one off, you're not going to be sure. There's no way to tell. So a common error lots of people make is they see a theme preview that is mocked up to sell what they are selling. They think that makes it a great theme for them to choose. However, it may not work best. Let's say you only have 3 products and you go into the theme store and you're selling toys and you see a theme that has toys as well and you think it works best for you. That's not the best way to see that. Again, do the prep work. Know what you need for your particular store and go from there, because just because you guys sell the same thing does not mean that the functionality and the navigation is going to be best for your store, which could affect your conversion rate. So in some situations, it might be the case, but in many situations it's not. And the theme that people think is a good fit for them is likely missing some form of functionality that you were looking for. When looking at theme previews, try not to focus on the products the demo is selling. Focus on things like the layout, the types of content being shown, how easy the site is to navigate, etc. For example, some themes require really big imagery to look good. And if you picked a theme because the demo showed they sell clothes and you sell clothes, but didn't really pay attention to the layout, and you have all small images, the theme probably won't look good once you start to make your site on it. So think about that because your conversion rate could be affected. So in summary, again, your prep work is going to need to be done, what your brand is looking like, asking yourself that question, thinking about your brand and your store as an actual person. When you're choosing your theme, make sure you use filters to narrow your search. Consult the reviews, seeing what people are actually talking about with that theme. Is it converting? Is it easy to navigate? Demo the theme with your store information and ask friends and family to play around in there. Consider the theme support. That means, are they actually responsive to questions that you may ask if you ever have a problem? A lot of people, if you check the reviews, will definitely talk about that. And then, of course, trust your gut feeling. If you really feel like this is the theme for you and this is going to work for your store and your brand, as long as all of the prep work is done, I'm okay with you doing that. But also just a quick note, decide on your budget. Shopify stores come with a very varying price point. Like some of them are free for the themes, and then some themes cost money. So most of the themes cost about $180 if you want a paid theme. So make sure that you do the prep work so you can understand the level of functionality you need. So you'll know if you need to go with a free theme or a paid theme. So on average, visitors might spend 10 to 20 seconds on your homepage, and that is a good thing if they're spending time on your homepage. So let's talk about your homepage and how it needs to be optimized for conversions. Design your homepage. Tip 1, get clear on the goals of your homepage. What are you sending people here to do? Your homepage is the show window that gives visitors the first impression of your online store. If your online store homepage, when they visit it, is not built for conversions, people will leave your store immediately. So you don't even have to worry about the 10 to 20 seconds. The big thing with the homepages is getting someone there and allowing them to spend a couple of seconds looking around. Whether they want to stay on your store or they shop, you want them to stay on your store, on your homepage, look around, because of course you're going to lead to a pop-up to try to either convert them into an email or get some type of contact information or a sale, right? So if your homepage fails to draw in the right customers, you won't be selling anything. Show timely products and content, meaning don't have outdated content on your website. If it is October and we're talking about Halloween and it's fall and you haven't updated your store from the summer sale and took off like whatever products relate to the summer or the spring or another holiday that's not in the forefront, you're going to lose your store and your conversion rate is not going to increase. So being on top of your website, it's not a set it and forget it thing. You have to actually engage with your site and know exactly planning, doing the prep work, what you're putting out there. So do not have outdated content on your homepage. Keep your copy short, simple, and it should inspire action. Everything on your homepage, when you're thinking about your different components and how your theme is set up, the copy needs to be short and sweet. It needs to say exactly what you want it to say, what you want the customer to do. When you add new products or you run seasonal campaigns, update the homepage to drive traffic to the featured items. If you're running a holiday campaign, like we're coming up on the holiday season now, and you may have created a holiday collection, this is your collection for the holiday season, you're going to want that to be in the forefront so that people can see it and it can drive traffic. You can drive traffic there through your marketing campaign, and those featured items are right in their face as soon as they see your page. Feature a photo of a person is another thing that works for your designing your homepage for conversions. Just by using a photo of a happy customer, increase one of our partners' conversion rate, right? So it doesn't work for everything, depending on like if you're selling a financial, let's say you're selling financial services or something more serious. Again, the prep work is going to be what's going to set your store up for this. But if you're selling clothes and you're wanting your customers to buy them and you want your brand to have a warm and happy feeling, adding a photo of a person in a happy stage will definitely help your conversion rate. What problem do you solve for your customers? On the homepage, add that. Hey, I have bright light glasses designed with your eyes in mind. They're going to help you with digital screens. You're going to want to make sure that's communicated in your homepage. What is your store about? So that first 10 to 20 seconds they're on your store, they know exactly what you do. That's your unique selling proposition. That's prep work. Make sure you have that done, your USP. If you need more help in figuring out what your USP is, meet with your advisor at the TSBDC so that you guys can come up with the plan for your USP. What is it? What problems are you trying to solve? Designing your homepage, you want to be clear about your goals. Display personalized content and product recommendations. For returning customers in a logged in state, displaying personalized content and product recommendations can help improve the user experience. You want to improve the navigation of the site. Again, this is going to go into when you pick your theme and how you design your store. You're going to want everything, all of the navigation, all of your links to be in place. The only way to know that before you launch is to test. So making sure that your navigation and the customer is not getting lost is going to be key for your conversion rate. Your website structure and navigation affect the user experience of the entire site. The menu helps acclimate visitors when they're on your homepage. Your menu items should display the range of products, yet not become so overwhelming that it's impossible for shoppers to find the items they're looking for. You know how you visit a web page and it has so many links in the home, in the header of the menu, and you're like, I don't know where to start here. You don't want a customer to do that. You want to be thinking about your niche, what your niche is, and display your menu items as such so that people can come onto your store and see the range of products that you have and find them quickly. You want to minimize your load time. Some customers, they say they draw away from your store if it takes a long time for it to load. So thinking about, maybe what you're putting on your store can actually slow your store down. You can even lose customers even if you have the perfect homepage, if it's so fancy that it takes just forever to load. So thinking about that. Forever in internet time can mean just a few extra seconds. And we all get impatient, like, where is this? What's coming up? It's loading. I'm out of here. So you don't want that to happen. So 40% of shoppers will abandon a website if it takes more than 3 seconds to load. You and I may be one of them. So just remember that. So displaying personalized content and product recommendations, displaying your best-selling items, you're going to want to make sure are in the forefront of your business, especially if you are thinking about the holiday season or what people have been buying previously. If you've been selling them with organic traffic, what people have been visiting lately. For instance, if you're checking your analytics regularly, which you should, because that's the only way to optimize your store completely for conversions, is to see what's working well. What are people going onto your site and looking at? What are they spending the most time taking a look at? Maybe they've added these items to cart, but they did not check out. What are those best recommendations that you can add to your store for conversions? What can you put in the customer's face on the homepage? There's apps out there like LimeSpot that can help you with product recommendations, bundling, upselling, and cross-selling across multiple products after someone converts, seeing what else they can buy. Shopify actually has an automated product recommendation now where, hey, have you tried to add this? After you add something to cart, they will suggest something. So you want to know what your best selling items are and what people are actually looking at on your website in order to optimize it. And the only way to do that is to check your analytics. And like I mentioned, Shopify has a robust analytics system that you can check regularly. I also want you to consider adding Google Analytics to your store, which also adds data that you can use to analyze your store and create more optimization for conversion to increase your conversion rate. Showing other relevant or complementary products can entice customers to buy more and increase the average order value per customer. You can base the recommendations on what seems to be the most logical upsell or cross-sell. It can be a different product or a value pack of the same item. The holiday season is approaching. I recommend doing this. You can offer suggestions by mapping other shoppers' purchasing history to the customer's browsing behavior. So, like I said, checking your analytics is the only way to do this. And lastly, easy to access shopping cart. The average cart abandonment rate is almost 70%. Getting to your checkout page doesn't mean a visitor is going to complete the purchase. Another study, let me back up a little bit. Getting to your checkout page doesn't mean a visitor is going to complete the purchase. There's things you're going to want to put in place that's going to, and we're going to talk about this a little bit further in the webinar, but if you can get them to the checkout page, you can actually get them to add to cart. Abandoned cart strategy, or your checkout page, optimizing it to where you can bring them back in. Again, a conversion is getting contact information or completing the purchase. If you can get their contact information, you can add something to your strategy to bring them back to complete their purchase. A study has found that an improved checkout flow can result in a 35% increase in conversion rates, which translates into, and this is a wild number, $260 billion worth of lost orders, depending on what your profit margin is. And when I did this webinar, we're talking about a big company here, but if you have if you're running your e-commerce store as a side hustle, or even if you're looking to scale your e-commerce store, if you're getting the visitors, you're running Google ads, you have your store optimized for social media, you have it optimized on your homepage and for Google, and all of your search engine optimization is in place, you could possibly see, let's say you're seeing 5,000 visitors to your store a month. You can lose them if you can get them to the cart, or if your access to your shopping cart is not there, or if your navigation is incomplete. So if you can increase your checkout flow, that means the customer journey from the time they're getting there to the time they get to the checkout and what that looks like, you can increase the conversion rate that you have, the money that you make. To optimize your checkout process, target the most common reasons why shoppers abandon their carts and focus on improving speed and ease. You can see what your customers are doing by using the Hotjar website. It's an app you can integrate in order to manage and see how your customer is navigating through your store. And then remove those checkout obstacles. When you see what they're doing on a regular basis, that everybody may be falling into this net that you're catching these people at in the checkout process, right? You're going to want, again, to test when you have those visitors and make your process, optimize your website for a complete, great checkout process. Your checkout process should be as smooth and seamless as possible. Anything that doesn't contribute to customers staying within the flow and completing the transaction should be removed. Again, anything that does not contribute to your customers staying within the flow of checking out and completing the transaction should be removed. Meaning, don't add a survey in the middle of them entering the credit card information, like a survey pop-up. Don't distract them from completion. Hide any pop-ups during that time, such as newsletters, sign-ups, surveys, all of that. You even want the survey and the newsletter pop-up to come 15 seconds, 10 seconds into them visiting your store anyway. So don't interrupt that process. And don't display cross sales or upsells that will cause customers to click away from the checkout process. Meaning, don't show them another product in the middle of them checking out. That product should be displayed to them as they click on as they click around in your website. There's apps out there that do this for you. And again, Shopify has this implementation. So you can put that implementation in 5 to 10 seconds after they come into the site, especially if they're a returning user. So there's a no one size fits all strategy for optimizing online stores. So get that out of your mind. There's not a clear thing that says, all right, what they did, I can do, and that's going to make my store become optimized for conversions. There's not a way to do that. Your strategy will have to be implemented across all of the things that we're discussing today, like your homepage, like your checkout process, like your store navigation, in order to have your store fully optimized for conversions. You have to know what works best for your target audience, and you have to make sure your branding is on point all the time. Instead of blindly following tactics or chasing bright, shiny objects, always keep the customer's experience front and center when designing your e-commerce website. There are many steps involved in the purchasing path, from arriving at your website to successfully completing the transaction. You have to identify that purchasing path, what that looks like, and perfect it for your store, for your brand. So let's talk a little bit about the product pages and how you can optimize them for conversions. This is just an example of communicating value, communicating trust for your customer. The best way to do this is to make sure that your copywriting is clear and descriptive. You're going to want to make sure that you are giving your customer the best product details in a short form. That way they can read it quickly and understand what you're offering. If you can optimize your store with your descriptions and your products, and people can understand exactly what you're selling, you're more likely to convert with their particular product. No one wants to come to your store and not understand that. How comfy is your shoe? Is it going to fit my size? Is it one size fit all? Will it hurt? Do you have reviews in place that tells me about how the product actually has worked for someone else? You're going to want to make sure that you can do this. Maybe you're even testing the product by giving the product sample out to a couple of people so that they can leave a review about it. You're going to want to have those reviews in place and actually the description of the product so that people can understand what your product actually is. The goal of the copywriting is to clearly explain the benefits of your product while also helping your online store rank better on search engines. This is, excuse me one second. This is also one of the keys to optimizing your store for conversions. If you want to optimize your store for various search engines like YouTube, like Google, like Bing, you're going to want to make sure that your product details speak clearly to what your product is. If you're using something like suede material shoe or a cotton t-shirt, those things are going to be keywords that's going to help your store rank better in search engines. There may be other stores that are out there that are ranking better for certain keywords. So you may not be, because the internet, of course, has been out for a while, and search engine optimization has been around for a while. But you don't want that to interfere with your search engine optimization. So just because they're ranking for it, you're just gonna have to do a little more keyword research. Let me go here. So let me go over some conversion tips because we're running out of time, but some of these conversion tips that I want to talk about are piquing interest. Make sure that you pique interest with your store. Creating a need. The need might be the most immediate buyer motive. That's what people are coming to your store for. If a prospect has a problem that you can solve, they're inherently motivated to consider your offering. There are a few ways to capitalize on your buyer's needs, and they generally hinge upon how aware they are of the full spectrum of potential issues that can stem from their situation. So if you're going to pique interest with the product reviews, with what you offer, making sure that copywriting is great is going to be a great way to do that, to optimize for conversions. But you want to capitalize on your buyer's needs. So if you are solving a problem, you know your unique sales proposition, you're solving that problem, your buyer is going to have a need, and that's going to motivate them to buy from you. The acceptance as a buyer motive is also going to be key outside of piquing interest. Essentially, giving a customer the opportunity to making sure they don't have that fear of missing out of buying this product, that gives them the sense of urgency or acceptance, like, oh, I have this too. You guys have fidget spinners, I have a fidget spinner too. That is motivation for people to buy from you when you're thinking about conversions. And I also want you to think about impulse. The impulse for buying a product, creating excitement, a sense for urgency. That's going to be clear when we're coming up on the holiday season. We'll talk about that on Thursday, but thinking about your creating an impulse and capitalizing on the excitement of something, a gift, or a wedding is arriving. Creating impulse to pique interest in your product is perfect to increase your conversion rate. And then some things may offer pleasure. Thinking about your brand, what does it offer to me that maybe if it's a luxury item and it brings a certain pleasure to me and I don't really need it, but it's a luxury item and I have the pleasure of having it, it gives me something that makes me feel good. Think about something. If someone is shopping for home decor or a new pair of designer sandals, their first priority is probably pleasure. The same can't be said for someone looking for insect repellent to deal with their house ant problem. So it's not the same, but if you're thinking about what type of store you have and how to pique interest, you're going to want to think about that type, and it goes into that pre-work, that type of brand that you have that can pique interest, whether that be for a luxury brand or selling insect repellent, which is probably a need item, right? Because they have an immediate problem that needs to be solved. And then, of course, you have like financial gain, something that can give someone like a service or something that gives them something outside of something physical, like a service. You're going to want to think about that as well. So activating your live chat is another way to increase your conversion rate. And I say this because it gives a customer a way to contact you, security, trust at any time. If you have your automated chat greetings inside of your chat, inside of your activating your live chat, then a customer can come in and say, what time is your shipping? How long is my your shipping process? And if you're closed, of course, that will be automated to give them, and then you can contact them later on with a more personalized message. But activating your live chat, people are 6.6 times more likely to convert than the stores that are not, because it feels like a real person is there. I can actually talk to you about the product. I don't have to pick up the phone anymore. I can actually just ask you my questions and you can answer them. It adds a personal touch by addressing customers by their first names whenever possible and referring back to previous interactions. Like if they're a returning customer and they have already spoke to you, you can welcome them back again and say, hey, we've spoken before. Hi, Julia. Welcome back to my store. How can I help you today? And including a photo of yourself inside of your chat also brings trust and a reality to your store that leads to conversions. People like real people. So adding a photo of the agent, even if it's a static photo, guys. Use a chat invitation during the checkout process to reduce cart abandonment. Program the software to detect certain behaviors, such as when a customer goes back and forth between a couple of items. A short message will appear to invite her or him to start a chat. So you can implement these things. There's apps out there that does this, but Shopify does this as well, that can invite someone who's having that fear and they're not motivated and they don't have the need to start a chat to ask a question like, hey, is there anything I can help you with, Christina? Because you're taking a long time here to check out. You don't want to say that, but you definitely want to say, hey, are you having any trouble? Can I help you find what you're looking for? Leverage your post-chat surveys to get feedback that will help improve your products and services. Again, do not add this into your checkout system. Do this before, because the AI in the product of your website will see a customer go in and out of the website, maybe checking prices to see what they're getting the best deal. So you want it to go there first. Don't interrupt them if they've added to cart and they're checking out with the card, and then you pop up with something and say, did you have a good experience? It's not the time for that. So be sure that your checkout process is seamless, like we talked about earlier. Another clear component to put into your store that will lead to conversions is a call to action. We talked about this in the beginning of the webinar. You're going to want to make sure that you have a call to action in place no matter what you're putting out there in your marketing, whether it's somewhere where you can click to a specific product, adding to cart for a specific product, reading a blog article, adding their contact information. There are lots of ways to do this, but there's distractions on the internet. So you need to take charge and tell customers what they need to do next with a clear and strong call to action. Use persuasive and compelling language to start with the verb like buy now to make it action oriented. Use first person like claim my offer. Leverage your urgency, like get it now. We're going to see that a lot over the holiday season. Increase your conversion with extra information like free 2-day shipping, just free shipping altogether. Use eye-catching graphic treatment, strong contrasting colors. This goes into your Facebook ads, your Instagram ads, your TikTok ads. You're going to want to convey that information because they're going to give you an opportunity to have a clear call to action included with their ads if you're running them, even with your status and updates. Minimize the choice by focusing on one action. Don't give them 4 or 5, like buy now, add to cart at one time. Don't do that. Make the button look clickable. So making sure that you have a clear the way it looks, like the colors as you see here, is a blue background with white letters. And keep the copy short and simple. Don't give them so much in one piece, like add to cart today in order or you're going to miss this opportunity. It shouldn't be that. It should just be simple, clear cut. Prominently display social proofs and guarantees. A survey of over 23,000 online customers said that 67% of people have received customer service via social media. We all know social media is a clear way to define and promote your business, right? So also companies that ignore the support request on social media see an average churn rate of 15% higher than those who don't. So it's not great to not interact in social media. I know a lot of people hate it personally. You don't have to have a personal page, an active personal page in order to have a business page. You do have to have a page, a business, a personal page in order to create a business page. But it's not a good idea not to have a social media, any social proof at this point in e-commerce business. You have to make sure that you are on the internet. When someone Googles your business, your social media pages are definitely going to pop up. So on the other hand, sellers who respond on social media see an increase of 20 to 40% in customer spending. Do not ignore your customers if they ask questions or they're engaging with you on your social media. Number one, engagement on your social media leads to conversion rates, higher conversion rates. Engagement is better than likes. If you are having customers are putting up great social media posts and you're advertising there and you have people commenting and you ignore them, you're not drawing people into your brand. You're not allowing people to love your brand identity, creating trust in what you do and what you sell. Engagement is better than likes. I see people with 50,000 followers and no engagement all the time. No one's even looking at your stuff. They're just following you, but they're not engaging. They're not hearing anything you're saying to them. So having great social proof and then also engaging with them through customer support when they ask questions or if they comment on your products is a arsenal when it comes to increasing your conversion rates. Pick the best social media platforms for your business and customers. Don't spread your team too thin. Don't spread yourself too thin by being everywhere all the time. Select a few platforms on which to focus your resources, meaning you don't have to be on every single social media platform to start off in e-commerce or any business for that matter. You pick one, get great at it, making sure that you are engaging with the audience there, building your trust through social media, adding some social proof and guarantee, and then you increase the other platforms. But if you do that pre-work ahead of time and you know where your customers are, you know your target audience, you're going to know what social media platform speaks best to your target audience, and that is where you start. Monitor your social mentions using tools like Mention to make sure nothing falls through the cracks. Comment the resources, commit to the resources to provide timely responses. You may need a customer service team that spreads across different time zones when you scale or if you're already there. So there's always someone available to offer assistance. Use the right tone of voice that not only reflects the brand identity, but also matches your situation. If you have to transfer customers to another department, make sure they don't feel like they're being passed around. Meaning, if you're speaking to a customer about products and you need to actually talk to them about shipping, you may want to make sure that everyone on your team, interns included, it may be something simple that it doesn't need to be on, they don't need to have a long response time, or they don't need to speak to someone else. Those clear cut answers, like we talked about with automation, everyone on your team should know them. That's thinking about, for instance, FAQs. What your other competitors are doing is going to be a great way to see what FAQs are out there, what questions are they asking in order to go ahead and put in your strategy. And also be sure to put out your reviews and your testimonials. Put them out into your social proof, to add social proof, because people are going to want to hear how your product is performing. So let's talk a little bit lastly about designing your checkout. So we talked about designing the checkout earlier, where people are not getting lost. You're not adding extra things to your checkout, like making sure that customers are jumping through hoops to pay you. You don't want that to happen. You don't want to have a pop-up of a random survey out of nowhere. So making sure that your logo is uploaded in your checkout, it leads to conversions and trust. If it's not there, people are like, am I checking out at the right place? You don't know what someone's level of experience is when it comes to computers and technology. So making this seamless as possible as the world becomes more trustworthy of buying products online, you're going to want to make sure that your logo is uploaded. The color is on brand, because you can change those things and it matches your store. The fonts are changed. You have all of the different ways for your customer to pay. And you're only asking for the information that's required to complete the transaction. You can always gather more customer data through a post-purchase survey. If you choose to use a single page checkout, make sure the fields don't look cluttered or overwhelming. People will abandon cart and will not check out if it's overwhelming. If you have a multi-page process, include a progress bar that will encourage customers to finish the transaction so that they can see how much they have to go. I added to cart, I'm putting in my information, I have shipping, and then I pay. That way they won't say, oh, you're going to ask me for my more information. I'm actually I've been on the site 20 minutes looking for what I wanted because I was confused and I didn't know exactly what I needed. And now I'm checking out and you're going to ask me more information. Don't do that. If you can make it short and seamless for them to convert, do that. Make it easy for your customers to pay you by including more payment options, because as we know, people use different things to pay now, and they want to make sure that it's trustworthy. So they may only trust PayPal. They may only trust Amazon Pay. But Shop Pay is very great because all of the Shopify stores usually have a Shop Pay implemented on their site. Once they use it once and they have a Shop Pay account, their information will be automatically included in the checkout of any Shopify store. So just think about having all of those actions, all of those payment gateways included into your Shopify store will lead to more conversions. So let's talk a little bit, and I'm almost done here. I know it's a long webinar, so excuse me, so much information. You want to reduce checkout fears and build trust. We didn't talk about the SSL certificates, but making sure that's in place on your site. You can actually look at your competitors, seeing what they're doing, and implement that, the FAQs as well. Adding your live chat. We talked about that. Making sure that's there so that customers can feel like they're connected to you all the time if they need to answer questions, because your e-commerce store, You could be open 24 hours for business and not necessarily for customer service, but for business. So thinking about your live chat, and then address your fear, your FOMO, your fear of missing out. That's your needs, that's your motivation to purchase. Again, the only time to introduce a pop-up during the checkout, because if it does at the wrong time, you're going to lessen your conversion rate. During the checkout process is when a customer is about to abandon the cart. Use an exit pop-up to get visitors back into the checkout flow with a special offer or reminder of a time-sensitive deal. And then also we're still in the pandemic, so you're going to want to make sure that you address COVID-19 circumstances. One of the biggest ones there are the time delays when it comes to shipping. Maybe you have an address change because you are not in the same location anymore. Making sure that you communicate your COVID-19 circumstances builds trust for a customer when they're ready to purchase from you. Also, your abandoned cart email strategy. Now, there's so many different tools and resources you can use for this. In email, it just depends on what program you want to use. But Constant Contact it's a very expensive one, but they have an artificial intelligence motivated abandoned cart email strategy that will follow your customer from the time they give you your email to forever. And it basically gives them emails directed to their user activity. And they use Google and different algorithms that are integrated into the email system to do this. However, you don't need the biggest plan to do that. Putting together an abandoned cart email strategy, and I recommend when someone abandons cart for you to email them maybe something different for 5 days straight. But giving them a strategy, whether that's through text or email, is going to be the key to making sure that people convert. Your shipping process should be addressed. I know I mentioned it with the COVID-19 information, but adding a seamless shipping strategy, especially if you have a product that can garner repeat customers, that shipping information needs to be in place, and you need to address any issues that may arise with your shipping. And I just say, with today's society, I know there's some big people, competitors out there like Amazon and Walmart, different places. But if you can, depending on the product that you're selling, offer free shipping, maybe at a certain rate, increasing like the customer's value, the purchase value of what they're purchasing from your website. But if you can offer some form of reduced or free shipping, leads to better conversions. And we're probably customers that affected as well. So making sure that your shipping strategy is pre-work, thinking about that ahead of time. So there's a couple of helpful links, and we're going to open the floor for questions that I definitely want you guys to have, like your shopifycompass.com. That is a great place for you to learn more about your Shopify store, search engine optimization, conversions. Again, the Help Center is open 24/7. You can contact the Help Center anytime via chat, email once your store is up and running. Check out the Shopify blog. There's great information there every day. They'll post something new, and the blog is just worth having on your notifications so that you can read some of those things. Also, the Shopify community, where and I say this is a great one, but also join Shopify communities on your social media networks like LinkedIn, like Facebook, and see what other people are saying and talking about. You may even get some theme recommendations, some conversion rate recommendations, thinking about that. There is a Shopify customer trust checklist, and we may can send this webinar out afterwards. You guys can have this, but the 39-point store trust checklist, Shopify actually offers a lot of different checklists, even one for starting your store. The best way to find this information is Shopify Compass, or refer to the Shopify blog. Also, you have Burst, which we talked about with your logo. and your in pictures that you can, static photos that you can add to your store. Business name generator that will help you see what you can actually come if you're having trouble coming up with the name, so that you won't have something that's so the same as everyone else's. If you need help with that, Hatchful helps you come up with that with your logo. Shopify just offers a lot of resources. So be sure to check those out. I'm going to open the floor now for chat. And if you have questions, please do put them in the chat so that we can. I want to stop sharing here so that I can answer them. I am definitely open to answering any questions that you may have. Here. So I can't pronounce it. I think it's Pocomoke River is a river and town. Depending on your target audience, I think it's Miss Steele Martin. Depending on your target audience of your name, I just mentioned that I just want you to think about who your target audience is, and if your target audience is familiar with this particular river and they understand it, I don't see a reason why it wouldn't be great for you. You just need to know who you're targeting and what they know. Are they familiar with this name? If you're trying to reach a international audience that actually is into fishing, do they know what this means? Are they Googling this river when they're looking for your products? That's a questions that you need to ask yourself when you're thinking about your conversion rate. Because if you're optimizing your store for the search engine and for different search engines, and people are not Googling what you are talking about particularly, it's going to be hard to rank for that. So think about that. Mark channel. That's awesome. Any questions about converting? What you need to do to your store? Does anyone out there have a store already with Shopify and you're not converting, or you're seeing visitors and you're not converting, or you have done some testing and you're not converting, or have questions about testing? I know it sounds like a lot, but one of the easiest ways, especially when you're getting started with your Shopify store, run some ads in the beginning. If you have a hard time with seeing what's working, run some ads, some simple ads to create some traffic. I suggest maybe some Google ads, depending on your product, but Google always brings you visitors. But you need to make sure the target audience and all the pre-work is done before, because you're going to be running ads to people that are not interested in your product. So you need to do the pre-work. Run Google ads, drive some traffic to your store, and measure the analytics. See what worked, what didn't work, what people are doing. Maybe have Hotjar included, and measure that, and then go back and restructure your store to based off that information that you received from running those ads. Conversion rates, optimizing your store for conversion rates takes time. You may see traffic first. You may see people add cart second, and then you may see them make a purchase after you've done all this over a couple of weeks or even months. Or you may be lucky and you have your store optimized immediately when you first come out, and everything you did was right, and you see everything, and all of a sudden you're converting immediately. So putting everything into place, researching, doing the pre-work is the first step that you need to put in place in order to convert your website. Any other questions? I think we're all good.
All right. Thank you so much, Adrian, for that amazing information. Like she mentioned, we will be sending the recording of this webinar out hopefully later this week or either early next week. If you do think of questions that you have for Adrienne, feel free to reach out. That's what she's here for. She is the expert, and she's the person that you want to talk to if you do have questions. With that being said, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We really appreciate you. If you're not already signed up for our next webinar in this series, Discovering Your Holiday Marketing Strategy with Facebook, which will be on September 9th, make sure you go sign up for that one. That's another good one that you will not want to miss. So with that being said, if there are no other questions, everyone have a great rest of the day, and we hope to see you on Thursday.
Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Bye, guys.